What's up, YouTube? It's another day with the one and only Billy J. And this is my review of episode 12 of 13 Reasons Why, now on Netflix. And this is the episode all about Bryce and what he did to deserve a tape from Hannah. The episode opens up with a distraught and upset Hannah walking down a street with no shoes on. Is this a dream from Clay, or is this something that happens on the tape? In the present time, all the students are being handed subpoenas by the police department, and the parents are all confused. Justin is freaking out about it, but Alex seems kind of cool about it and relieved because finally the truth will come out. A naive, stupid, or simply crazy Bryce decides to call up Justin and leave him a message on his phone. And for whatever reason, Bryce is confused about the outburst from Justin from the night before. I think there's something mentally wrong with Bryce. At school, Marcus and Courtney are talking and they're asking each other who all got subpoenaed and how did they get all of their names. Tyler pops up and wants to be in on the Legion of Doom and whatever plan and story that they're hatching up. And Marcus tries to blow him off, but Tyler warns him that he knows a lot and has a lot of pictures. Out of nowhere, Monty comes up and shoves Tyler to the floor and walks off. And an angry Tyler tries to retaliate, but obviously Monty is a bigger, stronger guy because he's a jock, and he throws Tyler up against the wall. And before things escalate, Bryce comes up and breaks up the fight. And a pissed off Tyler declares,
"I'm sick of this shit."
Is this a warning from Tyler? Are these signs of a darker Tyler? I predicted that Tyler would do harm to either himself or other people. Over at Jessica's, Justin tries to explain himself, explain his reasonings behind why he did what he did, and why he seemed to somehow protect Bryce. And I could totally understand where he was coming from. But Jessica was understandably upset and has every right to be upset about it, and she kicks him out of the house. In the past, Hannah's parents are obviously going through some money problems. The business isn't doing as good as it should be thanks to the Wallplex in town, and apparently they're running behind on their payments and are about to be evicted. Hannah's mom is going to go sweet talk the homeowner to see if they can get a payment plan on their rent. But she doesn't have time to go to the bank before it closes, and that's where Hannah volunteers to take the money for the business to the bank. So when Hannah gets to the car, she gets a text on her phone. And instead of waiting to get inside the car to respond to the text, she just places everything she has in her hands on top of the car. And who does she call back? None other than our boy Clay. After she's done on the phone, she grabs up the stuff off the top of the roof and hops in the car. But she didn't grab everything, she forgot the money. And she drives off, and as she's driving off, the money just flies off and is supposedly forever gone. Where does Hannah go? She goes off to the movie theater to pick up her last check, and that's obviously what the conversation was about with Clay. And so they have a little chit chat, kind of awkward one because Clay is kind of distant because they apparently haven't talked to each other since the incident, at the party, and then the next day whenever Clay gave an outburst towards her. And as she goes to leave, it dawns on her that she didn't put the money in the car, and she didn't have the money, and so she's searching frantically for the money bag. In present time, Clay sneaks into the school to get something from Tony. Couldn't Clay just wait till after school? He knows where he lives and works and everything. And apparently, Clay is supposed to pass on the tapes after the 12th one. What's on the 13th one? Then we see Tyler meet some shady guy in an alley, and he gives him something wrapped up, and then Tyler gives him money in a film roll. And I'm assuming that what he gave him was a gun, because the guy tells Tyler that it has a kick to it. So I highly doubt that it's hot sauce. And then we have a meeting of the Legion of Doom at Monet's. And they're there to discuss their plan of action thanks to the subpoenas being handed out. Marcus wants everybody to keep quiet and act like they don't know nothing, but Alex and Zach just simply want the truth to come out. And all of a sudden, Tyler shows up to the meeting of the Legion of Doom, and apparently he wasn't supposed to get the memo. And Tyler threatened to take pictures of the meeting if he wasn't allowed to stay. And apparently Sherry was supposed to be part of the meeting as well, but she saw the meeting in progress and then decided to call the cops instead. So apparently Sherry is so guilt-ridden that she's turning herself in to the cops for running over the sign and ultimately causing the death of Jeff. The Legion of Doom is trying to come up with a narrative on how they're going to describe Hannah, and Tyler has the sickest burn.
Hannah was a liar. She was jealous and needy and emotionally unstable. She thought everyone was out to get her.
Aren't you describing yourself?
We tried to be her friends. We did. She blamed us when things went wrong, but she was the one with problems.
Marcus and Courtney are wondering if Justin and Jessica are going to show up to the meeting of the Legion of Doom. But Zach says that he highly doubts it and tells everybody about the events of the party from the night before. You know, where Justin blurts out that Bryce is a rapist and he raped Jessica.
Tell me why you fucking care!
Because he fucking raped you!
And to this, Courtney just keeps blabbing on and won't shut her mouth.
And Bryce is a rapist.
If you believe Hannah.
Seriously? Courtney, you are the only girl here, and that is the position you're gonna take.
Hannah lied. We know this.
Then Marcus comes up with the bright idea that they should bring Bryce into the Legion of Doom.
Bryce, the rapist.
Alleged rapist.
Fuck off, Courtney.
Then my boy Tyler brings up a good point.
Where we turn him in? Bryce is dangerous. I don't get why we're still protecting him.
We're not. We're protecting ourselves.
According to Marcus's point of view, they're not protecting Bryce, but they're protecting their own futures. Tyler comes up with the brilliant idea to get ahead of the trial and turn Bryce in for being a rapist. It'll give the school a scapegoat and hide their actions. They all think it over, and Alex interjects. Alex wants the whole truth and nothing but the truth to come out. He wants the whole world to burn. And then he goes around the table dropping bombs. Alex, tell me what's up with Courtney.
You're gay, so what?
Ooh, what about Tyler?
Tyler, you're a stalker.
And Ryan?
Ryan, you're an arrogant asshole.
What about my good boy Zach?
Zach, you're just an entitled idiot who does cruel, stupid things even though you probably have a decent heart.
Yeah, that sounds about right. What about Marcus?
You'll do anything to keep up your perfect reputation.
Now look inward, Alex. What's up with you?
And yeah, I'm a fucking weak, pathetic loser who ruined the one good thing that I ever had because I wanted a fucking rapist to think I was just like him.
You're not a loser, Alex. You're my hero. He goes on to say that if any of them had been there for Hannah that day, then she would still be alive. And with that truth bomb, they all take time to self-reflect. Then they decide to not only tell the truth on Bryce, but also themselves. And then my boy Tyler interjects and says, well, we don't need to tell the truth on everything. And then evil Courtney comes out.
Tyler, you can do whatever you want, and no one's gonna believe you. Okay, they'll just laugh at you, like they always do.
And then Tyler responds with saying that they won't laugh. Once again, showing signs that Tyler is gonna get some vengeance. He's gonna do something, I just know it. And then Courtney just turns full on evil.
Hannah's truth is not my truth. No way.
And this throws a wrench in everybody's plan to just come out with the truth. Tony and his boyfriend, or as Tony puts it,
this is my friend Brad.
Hi.
stop by and visit Mrs. Baker at the store. And she shows Tony the paper with everybody's name on it with circles and arrows. And she's asking him who all these people are and why his name is on the paper. And apparently Tony's name is the only one with a question mark. And he's trying to dip and dodge her accusations and questions, and he gives her excuse after excuse, and she's not having it, and she basically says that I'll see you in court. And outside the store we see a Courtney walking by. I don't know if she was about to walk in or whatever, but she sees this interaction and then she just leaves. Was she there to admit something to Hannah's mom? Up on Lover's Hill, Craig and Tony are standing there watching the sunset, and Craig is upset on how he was introduced to Hannah's mom. And finally, Tony comes clean and admits everything and tells Craig about the tapes and why he's so upset. And they have a nice, tender moment. In the past, Hannah comes clean to her parents about losing the money, and they are obviously upset and disappointed in Hannah. And then Hannah starts having some dark thoughts.
I started thinking how everyone's lives would be better without me.
Later that night, Hannah decides to go for a long walk to think about things. She winds up in the rich part of town, and she starts hearing some music coming from Bryce's crib. And she decides to crash the party. In the present time, Clay shows up to Bryce's house to randomly buy some weed. Is Clay gonna threaten Bryce? Is he gonna hold him at gunpoint until he admits his crimes? Does Clay become a full-on vigilante? In the past, Hannah just strolls up into the party, and there's people that she knows, obviously. There's Jess and Justin and Zach and another female in the hot tub, and Jess invites her in. And Hannah's like, oh, I don't have a bathing suit, and Jess is like, girl, you got bra and panties, that's enough. In the present time, after Bryce is prepping the weed for Clay, he asks for the money, and Clay is like, oh, and starts rummaging through his bag. And at which point, I think Clay is hitting record on a tape recorder, because all of a sudden he's like moving the bag like in the center of the room, and then starts asking questions about Hannah. Hannah winds up alone in the hot tub after the two couples leave for various reasons. But she's not alone for long, because Bryce comes in to keep her company. And he turns out the lights and the jets of the hot tub. Bryce compliments Hannah by telling her that she's not only the coolest, but also the hottest of the junior class. Hannah tries to make an excuse to leave and get out of the situation, but Bryce grabs her boob and gets way more aggressive. Clay gets angry with Bryce and demands that Bryce admit that he raped Hannah a week before she killed herself. Bryce denies it and says that he didn't rape her and that Hannah actually wanted it. And he goes on to say that she was making eyes at him and that she wanted it, and she wasn't as pure as Clay thought she was. And this sets off Clay so much that he actually punches Bryce. And Clay is obviously not that strong, so it really didn't do anything to Bryce. But then Bryce retaliates and then starts beating the living shit out of Clay. Afterwards, Bryce just casually goes over and pours himself a drink. And Clay gains consciousness and crawls himself over to the chair and props himself up. And with this, Clay gains Bryce's respect. And Bryce offers Clay a drink and some ice for his beat up face. And Clay won't let go, and he continues to interrogate Bryce about Hannah. And then Clay finally gets Bryce to say this.
You want to call it rape, call it rape. Same difference.
And Clay, it leaves all happy and ecstatic. I don't know about you, but it didn't seem like a very strong confession. It was a more of, whatever, I'll say whatever you want, just get the fuck out. Justin returns home and Meth Seth is waiting for him. And Meth Seth is all pissed off because the sheriff stopped by early in the day to drop off the subpoena. And apparently he was all scared because of all the illegal business and drugs that are in the house. And he's so upset about it that he starts choking out Justin. Justin's mom is able to convince Seth to let go of Justin. And Justin's mom is left with a choice between Justin and Seth. And ultimately she chooses to stay with Seth and not Justin. And so Justin is basically kicked out. A distraught and dead inside Hannah walks barefoot from Bryce's house all the way back to her house. And when she makes it home, her parents are asleep on the couch, and she goes in her room and undresses and reveals all the bruises from the assault. And it was at this point that Hannah decided to make her list of names and events that led her to her lowest point. We see Jessica dumping out all of the alcohol that she had under her bed, and then she scrubs herself clean in the shower. We see Sherry visit the intersection where she knocked down the stop sign, and we see Courtney finally do something decent, and she's admitting to one of her dads about her relationship with Hannah. Unfortunately, my boy Zach is not being a very good friend, and he's ignoring calls and texts from Justin, who's obviously looking for a place to crash other than Bryce's. On his way out of his mom's place, Justin steals a shit ton of cash, and he steals a gun. What's he going to do with a gun? Is he going to go and kill Bryce? Then we see my boy Alex, and he's cleaning and organizing his room. And his dad, the cop, pops in and tells him that he has nothing to worry about because he pulls some strings. And so now Alex doesn't have to report to court in the next coming days. And so he doesn't have to testify because Alex is a good kid and had nothing to do with Hannah's suicide. And apparently Clay never came home, and his mom is freaking out about it, as most moms do. And then we see an ambulance with somebody in the back of the ambulance dying. And from the EMTs we hear that it's a 17-year-old kid with a gunshot wound to the head, and he's being resuscitated. Who got shot? This is like the Dallas cliffhanger of the ages. You know, who shot JR? I know, most of you are probably too young to even get that reference. But believe me, it was the biggest cliffhanger in TV history. And even The Simpsons did a parody of it with the Who Shot Mr. Burns. But this is Netflix, so all we have to do is just go on to the next episode. However, let us speculate who got shot and why. Was it Bryce who got shot by Justin? Did Justin go and shoot himself? Was it Clay who got shot and that's why he didn't show up at home? But honestly, who would shoot Clay? So I think Clay is the unlikely victim. Did my boy Tyler shoot himself because he was afraid of the trial? And the fact that him being a peeping Tom come out? Is that why he shot himself? Or did Jessica go shoot Bryce for the rape? Leave a comment down below. And remember, peace, love, unity, respect. Peace out, guys.